through. And I just think it's so crazy what you do to me. Girl, you the baddest thing, you know that. And I really need you to show it. So turn around, let me get you on the Kodak. Girl, you're just so comfortable. Cause girl, you're just so. We ain't gotta slow it down. Jeans on when we hit the town. We don't really care who's around. But baby, I'm with you if you gon' be down. Cause girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. I hope that you just feel it out too. Girl, you're just so comfortable. Cause girl, you're comfortable. It just feels so good just when you're on through. I just think it's so crazy what you do to me. Girl, you're the baddest thing,
Welcome one and all to another amazing night here in Tranquility.
We absolutely are in for a treat of a match here tonight, no question about it.
And the grenades from Pompu eliminate everybody on the field.
Now I'm between something as well. It's going to be a fly death with that plus them, and it's going to be huge. Fighting three.
The double kill with the Bastion ulti? Alright, I see you guys.
For B-Well, look to find a stick there, finds the stick, they find two with it!
Those who find the picks will save the fight, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
And Cam puts the four-man punch off the map!
Experience tranquility.
Welcome back, everybody, to Season 11 of Tranquility. We have gone through a couple of weeks of the playoffs already. Teams have been eliminated left and right from all divisions, but teams are fighting for their lives here tonight, and it is quite the story as I am Huntertain, brought to you with Ashen today. I'm pointing to the wrong side, but still, it's lovely to have you here today. So, how are you feeling about today's matchup?
Hunter, I am super excited about tonight's matchup. We have such a cool storyline. So Luminosity didn't have quite the regular season they were hoping for, but they have had an underdog run of all time. They have won their last two matches and are currently, if they win tonight, they will make history in Tranquility as the lowest seed to make it to the championship bracket. So incredible that they're here tonight. I can't wait to watch them play against Atlas Arcadia.
Yeah, and for reference, you can already see it above the top of your screen right now, but it's a 7th seed versus the 23rd seed. The 23rd, it is rare not only to see, like, a team get past the first round sometimes when you're that low of a seed, but to now be in the position of being one match away from, as you've already stated, making history, but moving on to that championship bracket. It's legendary. Like, we haven't seen anything like this in Tranquility. We've seen underdog stories. We've seen that before, but underdog might be a little bit of an understatement here.
You're right. We'll have to come up with a new term by the end of tonight. And so it's, of course, always hard not to root for the underdog. Also might be a little bit biased. I do have some friends on Luminosity, but we'll try to be objective and do my proper job as a caster of this match. But I got to talk to some of the members of both teams just to hear a little bit about what's going on in their minds. I think both teams are feeling really confident, have had some great practice under their belts. Atlas Arcadia, I can imagine, doesn't have too much fear in their minds with that confidence of the 7th seed. But, huge props to Luminosity for really turning things around in the playoffs. I think they really invested in one-on-one individual coaching as well as team coaching, really figuring out how to play the comps and play together as a team.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to hear that. And kind of with what you mentioned before, this is kind of a battle of momentum in my mind, because you might look at the seeds and think this is a huge difference. This might not even be close. you have to take into effect how loss and win streaks affect different teams, because while Luminosity has won their last 2 and they have the momentum on their side, they're going up against Analyst Arcadia, who dropped down to the lower bracket after losing 3-0 to Titan, who was already qualified to move on to the championship bracket. So you have the mental of a team who is on the up and up right now, but you're going against the mental of a team that has, taken a harsh loss and is now fighting for the life against a team that some at this point may think, like, how is this team still in it? So I'm wondering how these two mentals are going to crash together here today, where, as I've already kind of said, you would think this game wouldn't be close, but with all that mental, with all the momentum in mind, we could see a little bit of a different story here today.
That's right. And I think that's a great point. Atlas Arcadia certainly doesn't want to lose to this number 23 seed. And I think Luminosity is just playing for fun, so happy to be here tonight and proud of what they've accomplished. And sometimes just playing relaxed really helps you get pretty far. Also very curious to see some of what the comps will be coming out of a BlizzCon and Overwatch World Cup this past weekend. I know Atlas Arcadia has been keeping a close eye on the World Cup, and they do have a phenomenal Doomfist player, one of the best in Tranquility. And so it'll be interesting to see if they pull out some of the Team Korea and China strategies of running that Doomfist dive. But I think for the most part, we'll probably see a lot of that Sig Mirror, that Sig Poke Brawl hybrid that has been really rising to the top of meta.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to see, because we have a nice little treat here, because the first map, believe it or not, we are going to be going to Samoa to start things out here. Now, we don't usually see this very often, mainly for the fact that it is a new map, but I did have the pleasure of being able to play this map last night during match, which was a fantastic privilege, and it's even more of a privilege to cast it here today. And from the short experience that I've had, a lot of this map can come down to the heavy brawl. Like, Volcano is a very tight-knit map where you're going to likely see either the Ryan or Sig comps play with a Lucio style, try to play a lot of the corners, play for that inside space. But there is the City Center-like map, which kind of favors towards the Sigma poke style. So there's already a good variety that we can see between a lot of the different sections here on Samoa.
Yep, and I have to admit, Samoa is such a beautiful map. And everyone, of course, I think has been practicing furiously in the last couple of weeks, ever since this map has come out, trying to figure out what comps to play on this map. And so we are just about to jump into the game and get a preview of what these teams will run.
Yep, gonna see in a moment, as have to assemble together first. I don't think anything is going to genuinely shock us all that much. If anything, maybe Luminosity does pull something out of their pocket, due to the fact that you might just have to try to catch a team like Atlas Arcadia off guard, as no, zero surprises whatsoever.
I think it's interesting. Both these teams are favoring the Bastion and seem to have read each other's minds. I know teams like to run variations on the DPS line. We're seeing a lot of Mei. I know some teams prefer the Mei Sojourn, but it seems that they really like that strong brawl potential and playing around that Bastion turret form.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm curious where both these teams are going to rotate to be able to start out this. We know some teams like to rotate on the very high ground and try to gain control of that to start out the fight, but it's looking like for the time being, both these teams are actually going to be rotating towards that high ground. Atlas can be getting here a little early within that engagement. A nice ball to be able to section them off temporarily, but nobody taken down quite yet as both Bastions bringing out the turret form. But again, it's a lot of damage, but nobody's going down. Gallant, though, is going to manage to find the first pick. The Baptiste going down, and with that, this fight is quickly falling apart. Luminosity gonna have to step back into the spawn. Atlas Arcadia going to be taking this first cap.
These teams meet on that high ground and just press W. Both Bastions and turret form running at each other. But Atlas Arcadia manages to get that first pick there, which is incredibly important. With these kind of comps, you just kind of run over the enemy team, especially when BAP is one of the first heroes to go down.
Yeah, and right now they're going to be a little aggro here. Lunamare trying to find the wall, but they find the body shot instead onto Onbo, getting rid of the major healing from that Baptiste. And now they're just looking to find Aku over there on the side, eventually taken out. They managed to do this little wraparound here. It ends up working out fantastic for them. Just need to burn the last couple members of Atlas, and they'll be successful in doing so. Only letting 28% over in their favor. Not a whole lot, but it is a decent start for Atlas Arcadia.
Great target focus and rotations there by Luminosity. Lunamare looks, immediately sees the BAP at her LOS, immediately gets those picks. And so Onbo's definitely feeling a little bit bummed about losing that fight. And so here, Luminosity is going to be holding on to point and trying to maybe take that fight a little better than Alice Arcadia did.
Yeah, but the big thing right now is Luminosity is only 79% to the ult, and we're going to see the freeze come out from Gallant. They do manage to freeze a lot, but nobody has gone down quite yet. Evil Tech is going to go down after the fact, so now this fight has even directly backed out. Pinspire going to bring out the window, and on top of that, we're going to see Star Platinum try to turn this fight around, but the flip still staying in the favor of Luminosity, 40% and counting. Luminosity still has a lot of ultimates to work with, and they might be able to burn out Star Platinum without having to use anything if they're going to successfully do so. The Redless Atlas just gonna have to try to back out and live. Luminosity only expending the one ult during that fight.
Atlas Arcadia speeds in with that Mei ult, but Luminosity remains calm, cool, and collected, is able to kite that ult and keep the members of their team alive. Star Platinum also tries throwing in that Flux, but it isn't able to get the picks, and so Luminosity here is feeling confident with 5 ults.
Yeah, they're going to send in that little freeze right now. They're going to manage to catch one for a moment. Able Tech manages to find Kryy, though. They still have a couple more strikes to go. Going to deal more damage. Aqua getting extremely low, and now they're sectioned off right now. It's so tough to survive this environment right now. They have a lot of spam damage, though, to be able to keep themselves alive, to be able to keep Luminosity at bay temporarily. But the biggest issue is that they're going to have to go and touch this point, so they're going to have to start moving up here. So trying to get the push. We're going to see the beat come out to be able to survive the Flux. It's going to do a lot of damage, but no one taking it out quite yet. But that rock gonna help out. Evil Tech finding the final blow onto Aqua right now, and now with that lack of damage, Atlas have no choice but to run onto the point, losing one after another, and finally, the significant amount of ults that Luminosity held on to pays off here in the end, as we see Gallant trying to make something happen on the point, but 1v4 on the Mei without the ult just isn't going to happen. They're trying to get the final touch. Aqua manages to find it temporarily, but they need to get that retouch. They're on for a moment. They're really doing a good job of actually staying alive and forcing more and more touches. Star Platinum eventually back, but at the end of the day, this is just bleeding out the clock, and eventually Luminosity, almost one-sidedly after that first fight, managed to take the first point here on Samoa.
I'm really impressed with how Luminosity is playing. They're playing like a singular hive mind with shades of Team Finland. And so they do a great job there with all of those fights. They have 5 ults in the bank. And so they just layer those ults slowly, stopping Atlas Arcadia's push and picking off their team members one by one. It seemed like Atlas Arcadia was feeling a little bit lost at times. You had some members trying to go on different flanks or looking for an off angle. But the thing about this comp is it's not really about the off angle. It's just a strong brawl, and you kind of run at each other. And so Luminosity, they play more stacked there, just straightforward, a kind of a back to front comp. And so they come out on top. And now here, as we get into the second submap of Samoa, Luminosity is opting for the Sojourn over the Bastion.
Yeah, we're likely going to see Evil Tech be playing off more towards the side, trying to take the off angle and just try to catch somebody off guard. That's actually going to be a pretty decent wall, but Lunamare just doesn't have the survivability. They already used their Ice Block earlier on. Now you have to use the Immortality Field just to try to survive. And while Evil Tech does find the pick, Atlas should have zero issue getting this first cap here.
Very quick fight there, well done by Atlas Arcadia. And that's the thing sometimes when you have the Sojourn, you don't have a strong brawl. And so when a Bastion's running at you in turret form, you need to be able to play smart, play corners, and fight those
yeah, exactly. We're going to be coming back into this right now. They're going to try to open up this fight to the best of their ability. This is a comp that plays a little more difficult. Like, Atlas Arcadia is going to be able to take more aggressive fights at the end of the day, but it is nice. They do force out the Immortality Field kind of early on, but a lot of people are already low for Luminosity. They have to find a target to go onto, and Kryy is going to be a pretty decent start, but Lunamare eventually getting traded out. The winner from Tinspire actually came out as well as Onbo, so now they're just trading out Luminosity. Oh no, Tinspire gets caught, and now Atlas has this fight in their favor. The rest of Luminosity just gonna have to die or get out of there as fast as they can. Atlas Arcadia, 40% and counting, really making this comp work, and I'm starting to question a little bit if the Sojourn is working out on the side of Luminosity.
You're right. The thing about Luminosity is they have to play slower. They need to bait out that Bastion form, kite it, and then go for the re-engage when that Bastion form is on cooldown, because that's when Arcadia is weak. And so we're going to look into this next fight and see if they can turn things around as they have several ults coming online.
Yeah, that pretty much does the fight right then and there. Evil Tech, Inspire both going down, and now they're going to be able to bleed out these couple of members. Not able to get a stagger on Lunamare, but at the end of the day, you got to be so happy with that. 73 and counting. You have the freeze, the flux. It's going to be so tough for Luminosity to walk into this.
Bastion ult can be such a frustrating ult because it seems like something that shouldn't kill everyone, but when you die to it, you just feel so silly. And so Atlas Arcadia has won team fight after team fight, and we're in final fight territory.
Yeah, and that final fight might be over just like that. They get booted out of the Immortality field. Not that it matters. They managed to come together. You're to see the members of Luminosity try to find that cap in the back to try to buy a little more time to beat. Really all they have left right now, eventually going to manage to catch on to Evil Tech. Not able to survive that. It's just Starlight to be able to survive on the point. And we might have another touch here, but I doubt it. Despite that, not going to matter. Atlas Arcadia bringing it right back with a dominant streak of their own. The 100-0 to bring it back to our round 3 here.
These two sub-maps could not have looked more different. Luminosity was so dominant in that first map, and here Atlas Arcadia just won every single team fight. And so we'll see here, this map is a little bit different. It definitely has shades of Oasis City Center, and so a little bit more open, and it looks like Luminosity is giving us a preview of a very different comp.
Yeah, I don't think Atlas Arcadia is going to see this coming, and it's so tough because, like, this is a comp with Atlas Arcadia where they are going to majorly stay together, so there's a ton of splash damage that Lunamare is going to be able to get, but Evil Tech likely going to go over to the Tracer? Yeah, this is going to be an extremely pokey comp from Luminosity.
I love these in-game adjustments. I'm very curious to see how they play this around Atlas Arcadia's brawl. Akua has moved over to the Sojourn, knowing that Bastion is a little bit harder to get value on such an open map. They have taken this high ground, but they are just stuck in this room, taking all of this poke.
Yeah, but Evil Tech's gonna be caught out on the side by Aqua, and now they have the ability to, like, not have to worry about the off angles. You know where Lunamare is at, but now you don't have the Tracer following you around over and over the place. So now they have to try to get aggressive. Lunamare does manage to force out the Immortality field, but for the rest of Luminosity, best case right now, try to get out of there with your lives.
Oh, it was looking so good, but Akua shows why Sojourn is so strong. That right-click rail potential just can kill someone in an instant. And so gets both DPS there, and Luminosity comes up with that point cap first.
Yeah, and now, the kind of what we're looking at right now, Starlight does manage to, like, have a lot of ult charge so far. Same for Lunamare. They both outputted a lot of damage and healing respectively, but it's so tough because in the way the environment is in Overwatch 2, that ult, the barrage is really tough. If you press that button, you should expect to die after the fact. Or during the fact if you're a little too unlucky, so Lunamare just wants to get in here as soon as it's ready to go. Likely get the drop on Gallant, who now no longer has a way to defend themselves, so right now, it's just waiting for them to pull the trigger. They're going to send it down. They're going to get caught up by Aqua, though. Not able to find somebody. Alalia, though, does manage to bring the trade back through. We see Starlight going to bring in that Valkyrie to try to keep Alalia up to the best of their ability, but it's so much damage. They're just not able to out-heal it. And now with the pulse on, they stick it onto it. Gallant has to come out to their death. And now this fight really evening back up now. But the fact that Star Platinum is still alive means this fight is still winnable for Atlas. And as I say that, they go down 67% for Atlas Arcadia. But still, they're going to have 5 ultimates in the bank for this next fight.
Luminosity finally breaks open that brawl, and you could just see Atlas Arcadia just bunkering around point, and with all of those cooldowns like Shield, Grasp, Maywall, Lamp, it's so hard to break through that. But finally they do. They're rewarded with the point, and now we'll see how Atlas Arcadia takes this fight.
What? I'm surprised that bomb catches anybody. Kryy, though, ends up going down, and we're going to see the investment. Twinspire wants to be able to bring this fight back around, and they're going to manage to find one pick of their own. Star Platinum just trying to survive on the point. You don't want to give them that flip. They get so close to that flip, and now they're going to be able to stagger out Star Platinum a little bit here. You're going to see them not do it a whole lot, but as soon as you manage to see Kryy come back, you're going to get rid of them, and now that's going to buy you a little more time here to work with.
Great discipline by Luminosity to not give up that point. That's the thing when you're running this dive. It is hard to have that point control, especially when your diva is dead. And so great discipline there. But Atlas Arcadia is coming up on 3 ults, and Luminosity did invest pretty heavily there to hold on to that point. And so we'll see how Atlas Arcadia takes this fight.
Yeah, we see Star Platinum over on the Orisa now, and we're going to see Aqua get very aggressive to start things out here. Going to try to chase down the Iliadi themselves. The beat is going to manage to keep them up for the time being. Alleluia does not have the ability to rematch. You see that freeze coming through, the barrage coming through, Aqua getting very low, but in the end, it just does not work out, and now we're going to see the stall from Evil Tech for as long as they possibly can. Luminosity, they might be staring down the barrel of potentially changing up this comp here. Like, I don't know. The pharmacy's getting decent value, and both of those ultimates so far have just been complete duds.
All right, I think, did we just see Aqua slide back towards their spawn? Not sure if they're going for a swap, but Luminosity is staying on this dive comp, still feeling like they can win with it. And Star Platinum has swapped over to the Orisa, and Aqua has swapped over to the Soldier, looking for that more consistent damage on that Pharah rather than that Sojourn. And so, trying to deal with the Tracer here, so Evil Tech doing a great job of distracting.
Yeah, and honestly, I was going to say this window is going to be a big section of this fight, and it does manage to keep Lunamare away for a little bit, but this really is going to be the final fight territory for both teams right now. Evil Tech has to be able to do something in this backline, though, because Starlight just has to focus all the heals onto Alleluia to the best of their ability. Eventually, it's going to knock them out of Necto, so a lot less damage going to be eaten. The pulse comes out, unfortunately, and misses, and one by one, the members of Luminosity falling apart. We see that Sun out from Tinspire trying to bring this fight back, but they just don't get back onto the point. Atlas had that fight pretty securely won already. It's just so unfortunate how that goes down. Luminosity so close, but Atlas Arcadia managed to etch out Samoa.
I loved seeing that dive comp come in from Luminosity, or that spam comp, and so I was really hoping that they could come out on top, and it was so close, but really well done by Atlas Arcadia, not being phased by seeing this comp that we haven't seen in such a long time. And so they just knew to kind of play what they've been practicing this whole time. And at the end there, we saw some of those adjustments, knowing that Luminosity has to come back and contest. They swap over to the Orisa, swap over to the Soldier, just able to put out more spam damage into Luminosity and burn those cooldowns. And unfortunately, Luminosity just wasn't able to sustain through that last fight.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Atlas because as soon as even before they made these swaps, they were trying to play around the corner to the best of their ability, because their objective with going against the pharmacy is you're trying to bait Lunamare to come out further into the open, because they can play safely around that tower in the center for a little while, but eventually you have to get aggressive when people are just going to play so passively. And especially when Starlight Platinum went over to the Orisa, they were nigh unkillable. You have the Baptiste and the Lucio on them with all the cooldowns that you have as an Orisa. It's so tough, and unfortunately for Alleluia, you're a diva, you have a good chunk of sustain, you know, you have the defense matrix, but eventually you're going to get burnt down. You either have to abandon point or die on the point, and it's a really tough choice to make, and sometimes there just really isn't a right answer.
Yeah, that's the thing about playing Diva into Mei. Mei just press left click and burns you down, or I guess cools you off. And so it was pretty hard there. We saw that Alleluia there get demeched several times and just not able to peel for their team, playing into Atlas Arcadia there. And now we are going to be jumping into hybrid. Luminosity with the map pick chooses Hollywood, which is traditionally very famous for being known as a dive map. So it'll be interesting to see. I know a lot of teams still prefer running that Sigma Brawl, but it'll be interesting to see if they're going to continue running more of that poke dive comp, or if they are going to return to the Brawl.
Yeah, I am a little curious about that, because Luminosity is going to be starting out on the attack for this, since it is, winners get to pick sides, so Atlas Arcadia will be on the defense. And honestly, you don't really lose a lot from coming out maybe the first fight or two trying to run that pharmacy with the Diva, because Diva still really is good for a map like Hollywood, especially those first 2 points. There is a lot of vertical mobility, so there is the ability to go up and down, and when you're Diva, you have a very strong ability to do so. And I think with the way the meta is currently, a lot more survivability than a character like Winston, who is a best dive character, unfortunately just not really that good in the meta we're in right now. I hope that changes one day, though.
Yes, I think everyone here has probably had a lot of practice playing that Monkey, Tracer, Genji dive, or Sombra dive with an Ana Brig. So it's, it's great if your backline can live. It can be a miserable time if they can't. As a support player myself, definitely have some PTSD. But here, as we are jumping into Hollywood, my best guess is people are going to be playing some different things. The thing about this map is with all of that high ground, you could actually opt for more of a poke variant. So the Sigma probably stays, but we could see potentially some Alari come out. Or not.
Hi, Atlas. How you doing? That is a unique comp. I think they're really anticipating Luminosity to come out on the Pharmacy instead. I think that's why you have Aqua over on the Soldier. Like, because Aqua can play the Soldier into this comp, into any comp regardless, but this seems like more of like a precautionary measure because you could just start out on the basic Mei Bastion, but Luminosity has the ability to be on the attack, so they can just go back and swap the moment they look at that comp and say, oh, hey, they can't stop us. So I think that's why we're seeing Aqua over here on the Soldier. So I'm curious how long Luminosity is going to stick with this and if they're going to solidify in these current picks run right now.
Yeah, I'm curious about their running. It looks like Luminosity is going to run a Sim Bastion. And so this is quite interesting because what they are trying to do is they're trying to take as little poke as possible and use the TP for rotations. Try and catch a member of Atlas Arcadia out of position.
Yeah, and we're going to see right now, they're just going to kind of peel out a little bit. Nobody has dropped the point quite yet, so they'll just be playing survivability right now. Don't need to do anything harsh, but Lunamare going to send the TP over, and they're just trying to hunt down. But look at that! They managed to transition out of there beautifully, so that TP ends up being just swapping places for them for the time being. Eventually, though, they are going to have to set up another TP or choose to drop on the point. There's also the possibility that we play a nice game of I can't think of a game to relate to, but they're just gonna keep going back and forth and they try to go with that. So they're just gonna have to try to hunker down on somebody, and in fact, they're gonna hunker down on Star Platinum, getting rocked out of this world. And now we have a really big opportunity for Aqua takes it up on the side. That was a good opportunity for Luminosity, and we're gonna see them getting a little aggressive on the top. But look at that, Tinspire already has that window nice and ready to go. It's gonna be able to pressure people off at this point temporarily, but still, they haven't even gotten the first tick yet. Eventually, it is going to come through. And right now, the biggest pressure right now is the fact that Kryy and Teske are standing on the high ground completely uncontested right now. And just like that, they're going to be joined up top, the window coming through. This is the biggest crux right now for this team. The beat going to come out just to try to be able to survive. But once again, your biggest problem is those three over on the high ground. They have to be pressured off, eventually going to do so. But now Gallant has free reign with his blade, going to find Silent to start things off here, trying to find another. But really, you just have to try to survive. I think eventually Luminosity going to lose this fight. They get 2 ticks, ends up being really nice, but they're really being forgetful about trying to push that high ground.
All right, Tinspire doesn't go down without at least trading out 1 pick. But that was really well played by both teams there. Luminosity flips the map, which is something we don't really see on Hollywood. But Atlas Arcadia, even though their tank goes down first, they're still patient and regroup, making sure not to stagger for that recontest. And now Luminosity, they did expend that window and that bait, but they do have tank and DPS ults coming back online to try and get this final third of a pick.
Yep, that's going to be Yummy and Alias Tummy. They're going to take the Captive Son out of there right now. Trying to catch over onto Teske. They do eventually manage to find the Immortality Field. Gallant going to be hit down by that rock once again. So Luminosity, another fight where they have the first pick. And we're seeing the Flux come out on top of that. Going to try to catch as many members as possible with the Immortality Field. Going to save them, Star Platinum. Eventually going to be burnt down. And it looks like this time around, Luminosity going to make this point their own. Going to have 3:45 left in that time bank. And right now, your biggest priority on this team is taking over that high ground before Atlas gets back.
All right, I'm not sure about that flux there by Star Platinum. Probably a Hail Mary thrown into it, but well played by Luminosity. And so now Luminosity is taking this high ground control, which is so critical on this point B attack of this map, while Atlas Arcadia is still regrouping. And now they've swapped over to a Mei, looking to potentially...
What?
Oh, gosh. Both Sigs are on top of their game.
That's unfortunately a little devastating. You lose Luna there early on in the engagement. Alia, though, does manage to survive, and in fact, everybody else in Luminosity does, so they should be able to take a pretty quick re-engagement here, just trying to group up and TP S5 onto the high ground once more.
All right, great rock by Star Platinum there. Both these SIGs are doing a great job of connecting. Huge boop from the Alari there to boop Luminosity off of high ground. And they already invested the sim wall, so now they're rotating towards point as they're fighting a 4v5.
Yeah, right now they're just going to be focusing on getting as much progress as they can. Eventually, we're going to see a couple members drop for the side of Atlas Arcadia. We're actually going to see the window come out from Tinspire. It's in a very awkward place, though. Aaliyah just going to be caught in it. It's really unfortunate. So right now, Atlas doing a really good job of holding this. They know when to get aggressive, and they're just keeping Luminosity from going onto this high ground. So now you have to question, do you try to TP on the other high ground first? Do you just try to commit onto the point and force Atlas to drop some members and use your ults then? And we're actually going to see Lunamare likely swapping. Going to go over to the main now instead. The CP strat just isn't working.
All right, Luminosity coming up on a Bastion ult as well as a beat to sustain through whatever Atlas Arcadia throws at them. However, Akua has the visor and is probably looking to pop it off to catch some members out of place. Akua drops to the low ground, is looking for that visor.
Yeah, they're going to bring out the B, because Star Platinum does bring out the Flux for that, but right now, all the members of Luminosity still alive, and in fact, Kryy invested that ultimate as well, going to go through, but it just hits the shield instead. Still, Lunamare is going to end up dropping first on the side of Luminosity, so now they have a big choice in front of them. You do have the ultimates to invest if you want to, but I think your biggest priority is just going to be trying to stay alive, try to get your 5th back right now, as they're actually going to invest the window to give themselves a little bit of space to work with. And for the time being, it's going to work out well for them. Going to get some free charge in the process. And now Evil Tech going to see if they can catch anybody important. Going to throw it up there. You have someone very low up there. You managed to get rid of Gallant. You're going to get the Mei out of there. You don't have to deal with the walls anymore. They're actually likely not going to get the freeze for this next fight either. So right now, Luminosity, a big opportunity in front of them. But Atlas Arcadia does not want to give up more space. As we see Teske put the window up in what is now just not really a good area, unfortunately. I don't know. This is a really tough situation for Atlas Arcadia being stuck up on this high ground.
Yeah, this is a bit of a messy fight, and it's gone on forever. And Hallelujah there uses the Flux, kills off his counterpart, and just Aqua is trying to run as fast as his legs can carry him, trying not to stagger, but Atlas Arcadia is just kind of all over the place, and a lot of ults thrown in here. Gallant throws in that Mei ult, is able to tray out that Sig, and it looks like they are able to stabilize as only a few seconds left on Luminosity's attack.
Yeah, Luminosity going to have to be the focus on the touch, but they go down. They would have had the ability to survive long enough, and now it's just going to be the fall one by one. The Flux going to get rid of Evil Tech before they even come back. Alilia's on the ball. They might be able to get that touch, and they're going to get into it for the moment, but that ball's just going to get drained away by the Mei. It's so unfortunate. Luminosity eventually had something going, but Atlas Arcadia, they fell back. They made sure to preserve their lives. At the end of the day, it ends up working out for them. Luminosity gets close to that second point cap, but just not quite enough there.
I can imagine Atlas Arcadia is breathing a sigh of relief. That point B defense looked very strong at first as they're able to stabilize and win out a few team fights, but that last fight there lasted a very long time, and it was quite messy. I'm sure people were kind of running all over the place, trying to take different angles, trying to survive, but Atlas Arcadia does have more of that poke comp with that BAP and Alari, and so they're able to take different angles from low ground and high ground, and kind of attack Luminosity on different sides, whereas Luminosity has to play together and trying to play around cover, trying to survive that damage can be pretty tricky with that comp.
Yeah, now Luminosity kind of bringing it back to the origins here a little bit. Lunamare going to be over on the Echo, going to bring back Starlight to play the Mercy. I don't hate this, but it's like the same point I made earlier with being on the attack, where Aqua's going to start out on this sim more than likely. They're going to try to TP the high ground, do the exact same thing that Luminosity was doing on their own attack. But if it doesn't work that first time, I could 100% Aqua just going directly back to the Soldier and just trying to contest the Echo and the Mercy, because it's going to be so tough to work with. That's the one thing you hate as an Echo player or as a Pharah player, when they switch over the hit scan just to counter you.
Yeah, Luminosity, Lunamare here, trying to kind of play that poke. Needs to be playing around those walls, making sure not to poke out. And we see Aqua, after seeing Lunamare on the Echo, is actually going to go for the mirror. However, Aqua doesn't have the pocket, and so will need to kind of play more carefully. Can't engage until his team is set up. And he's going to be looking to be playing for more of an off angle. And we already see him playing at a different angle, trying to poke out Luminosity.
Yeah, Lunamare gonna have that Mercy on them, taking a lot of damage. Eventually, it's gonna go down. Aqua, doesn't matter if you have the Mercy pocket, they're gonna take you down regardless. And now Aaliyah just gonna have to focus on survivability, eventually gonna get knocked down on the point instead of dropping on their own accord. So now, the biggest thing right now for Luminosity is survivability. You're in the 4v5 scenario, your biggest thing, you need to be able to stay alive. You can let a tick or two go away for the time being. Your priority is coming onto this as soon as that second tick goes through. So now, we do see the 2 come through. The other touch is going to come through, but right now, Aaliyah's in such a bad position. Tinspire manages to turn things around. They're going to have to try to go for the touch. Evil Tech, though, a big part of what's keeping them alive. Lunamare coming back into the fight, trying to get rid of somebody, but it's a back and forth affair. We see Gallant right now manages to block up the window preemptively, and they're not going to be able to retouch in time. Gallant brings that fight back, finding the 2K of their own. A great wall to prevent the window from being effective.
Yeah, that was massive there. That last tick on point A. Atlas Arcadia was so close to capping, but Luminosity didn't back down and did a great job of contesting point and getting picks, and almost would have held that, but members of Luminosity were so low, trying the best they could, and just unfortunately died to the May. And so looking at this point B defense, Luminosity trying to take this fast, invest several ults in here.
Yeah, Lunamare going to be over on the Lucio now? I'm unsure. This is cooking a little bit right now. Eventually, Lunamare actually not going to get caught right now, but they are going to be able to keep playing aggressively. Going to have to get out of there, maybe try to take somebody with you, but it's just not going to work out. This is just an incredibly tough scenario for Luminosity, and now, after you use all those ults, maybe you just go back to that usual strategy. Maybe you go back to the May, but they're going to keep committing with this.
All right, both teams use a lot of ults there. Both, I think, 3 coming from each side, but Atlas Arcadia, they only need to push it a few more meters to win out this point. And so Alleluia doesn't have time to contest the high ground, has to go for Cart. And Evil Tech coming up here with an overclock, looking to get a few members.
Yeah, and right now they do manage to find Teske right now after taking out the Immortality Field, but they need to be able to keep Evil Tech up. It's going to be very important, as we're actually going to see in the back line, you're going to see Aqua go over on that Sigma, knocked out very quickly. Evil Tech having none of it, but the point, they have to make it back, and they don't get back in time. I know Luminosity lost a couple of members during that, but it's just another unfortunate situation. Atlas Arcadia going up 2-0 in the series, already on match point. Aqua beating Luminosity at their own game, running the Echo, and not even needing the Mercy Pocket to do it.
Atlas Arcadia looking very dominant and showing why they are the 7th seed. And Luminosity there tried their hardest, coming out with a variant on the meta, wanting to play something a different flavor, trying to catch Atlas Arcadia off guard. However, Atlas Arcadia is unfazed and is able to kind of run over Luminosity on their attack there.
Yeah, a point I kind of want to bring up, because obviously Hybrid is a point where a lot of these poke styles are going to be a little more dominant, but the only big thing that so far Luminosity has won was that point on Samoa where they were running the Sig, May, and Bastion. I'm curious why they want to keep trying this stuff that is a little out of pocket, and it can work. It definitely can. That's nothing against them, but we're in this situation where you just saw your comp work on the first round. You were up, and it might not have worked in the second round, but you switched over to the Sojourn, so why not try to commit back to that May with that Bastion when you've seen it work against this team before? You know it could potentially work, so I'm curious if we're going to see a return to form for Flashpoint. That's what I'm hoping for. If they pull out a lot of the same, I don't think it's going to work out.
Yeah, that's the thing. With sometimes in scrim, you're trying these different comps, and maybe you manage to catch teams off guard, and you find a lot of success with it. But sometimes you're in match, and it's do or die, especially here with playoffs on the line. The winner here moves on to the championship bracket, whereas the loser goes home. And so you need to be able to be adaptable and make changes on the fly. So I agree with you. They have a few minutes here at halftime. I'm curious to see what mid-game adaptations they're gonna make as they're looking at map 3 here and match point for Atlas Arcadia.
The battle of David and Goliath happening before us here today. Luminosity trying to make the impossible come true, but so far, Atlas Arcadia stomping them down as right now we are sitting in 2-0 fashion. Luminosity's life on the line right now as we come back from our halftime. Huntertain, Ashen over here on the right. I did the right side this time. That's improvement right there. So far, we've kind of seen quite a bit of fire from Luminosity. Like, despite seeing the 2-0 score, it doesn't quite reflect how this match has gone. They started out pretty strong on Samoa. Hollywood, not as hot, but this team has proven that they're willing to pull out a lot of different comms to be able to make this work.
Yeah, Hunter, you and I, we were just talking about it right before the break that, Luminosity is doing a lot of cooking and the kitchen might be on fire. We're honestly hoping that they run more traditional meta comps because that's what's been working best for them. As we saw in that first point of Samoa, they had such a dominant showing running that Mei, Bastion, Sigma, Bap, Lucio. And so Suravasa, oftentimes a favorite of everyone, probably one of the most beautiful maps in the game as we come over to Flashpoint. And so it'll be interesting to see what kind of mid-game adjustments Luminosity is making as they have their playoff lives on the line.
I mean, the biggest thing when you have that 5-minute break, it is just a big mental reset. Like, it is tough to go down 2-0 in a series, but having those 5 minutes to kind of, decompress a little bit, have your coach talk to you, have your, your captain or your in-game leader kind of settle things down a little bit. You can kind of reset. You take the mental mindset of, okay, it's still a 0-0 matchup. We just, our priority is the map in front of us. So right now, as we kind of already said, I really hope they go back to this traditional comp style because this is not just a map that favors this, but this is a game mode that favors these very fast rotating brawl style comps. That's why the Sigma is still very powerful on here. That's why we even see sometimes Junker Queen on that, but she's a little more comfortable in her own city, not so much on Suravasa. So I'm really expecting the Sigma comps on both sides. I think the big question is going to be the DPS variants because Atlas's is a little more stable. Might end up being the word here.
You're right. Suravasa is a bit more of a close quarters map than New Junk City. And to be honest, I know a lot of teams were running Jotes in probably earlier this season or last season, but I think it's really fallen by the wayside as they just tend to be run over by that Sig Brawl comp. And so here, the thing about all of these points is you really have to think about how you are approaching these angles. When you're running this kind of brawl comp, and it looks like Luminosity has been listening to what we're saying, Evil Tech is back over to the Bastion, which definitely makes us happy. It'll be interesting to see if Lunamare keeps the Sim or swaps over to the Mei, but I do like this look that we're seeing of this traditional brawl.
Here's the thing I don't like about the fact that Lunamare is on the Sim. Typically, if you're going to Sim TP your team out of spawn, you're either going to go back and swap to either a Tracer or a Sojourn, typically. So they're just going to go straight up with it. They're just going to stay with it and go all together. Okay. That ends up working fine for them, but that means Atlas Arcadia is going to have more presence to start the fight. Lunamare's objective is going to be able to level up their beam as the fight progresses, but, a little difficult when you release Evil Tech right out the gate. Now Luminosity just have to play for the lives for the time being, but it's so much damage. Aqua just trying to burn through, and they managed to get them pretty low. Unfortunately, not going to be able to find the kill to even things out here. Luminosity going to be taken down, and that's such an unfortunate pick to take so early in the fight.
Yeah, that's happened a few times as we saw on Hollywood, where Evil Tech on the Bastion just gets caught out and goes down first. And that is so critical to your comp because Evil Tech is really there, or Bastion is really there to output a lot of the damage. And we saw there, as soon as Atlas Arcadia got that first pick onto the Bastion, they were able to go wheels up and shoot down Luminosity.
I like this little strategy right here. They're going to take over this high ground, kind of try to force Alice into a little uncomfortable position. So, going to be setting up on this point right now. Aqua going to find Evil Tech to start things out again. Alia eventually going down. Again, another fight quickly down the drain. Luminosity supports need to focus on dying or getting out, because right now you want to try to get one more fight, finding the headshot. So now 70% counting, Luminosity do have the opportunity to set up one more time.
To be honest, the sim strat isn't really working for Luminosity. I'm hoping Lunamare, is really reflecting on it and will swap over to the Mei, because those Gallant's Mei walls are just, walling off Alleluia, and so the team has to burn resources to try and save their Sig. And unfortunately, their BAP has gone down already.
Yeah, this fight is good as over already. Like, I do not agree with this Symmetra pick. I think it's fine to set up TPs and try to do fun strats. I think that can work, but Atlas is clearly a team that knows how to counter it. I really hope Luna just disregards the ult percentage and swaps, but this is what they practice. This is what they're going to stick with.
Yeah, an entire point has gone by and Lunamare hasn't even charged up that sim wall. And sim is something, you need to be holding down that beam and really charging it up against, whether it's a shield or a wall, you can still get, charge up. And so it's just taking too long to farm that all. And we see Akua hiding here, looking to catch someone off guard.
Yeah, they're just going to go for this combo more than likely. Going to let them come in a little bit. Oh, no. That's going to be a little unfortunate. We're going to bring out the B for the moment, but Lunamare going to end up getting popped by Teske in the process. Alice Arcadia going to get that first tick again. Luminosity just going to escape with their lives for the time being. Lunamare finally manages to have their wall online, and they better make use of it this fight, as they're going to keep up the aggression and get Tinspire as well. Oh, no.
Luminosity seems to be scrambling and falling apart. Even before team fights begin, one member of their team is getting picked off over and over again. Luna, if you can hear us, use the sim wall and swap to Mei. I don't think it's quite working out for the team because they're just getting picked off before they can even get a TP up, before all 5 members can take that TP and catch someone out of position. And so looking as this point ticks up to 63%, this is going to be final point territory for the second point of Sarabasa.
Yeah, they're going to commit. Evil Tech is frozen down. Lily was caught out in the center. They're going to be taken down as well. Lunamare dies again without managing to use the wall, so they're probably going to stay on this character and hold it for the third point, as Atlas Arcadia going to capture the second point here with next to no contestment.
Atlas Arcadia is just not giving a single inch of space to Luminosity. Luminosity is trying to engage, but Atlas Arcadia is at all of the chokes, using ults, but very smartly to stop their push. And all of their ults are really getting a lot of picks here. I'm curious to see what the scoreboard looks like, because it seems like all of the picks, all of the team fights have gone the way of Atlas Arcadia.
Luminosity finally going to have the advantage to be able to start on the point this time around. Atlas Arcadia has had the privilege thus far, so Luminosity, they have to take advantage of this. Lunamare, again, still has that wall ready to go. We see Aqua going to stand behind that. That's going to be the wall to come out. Going to try to negate that Windows utility. So for the time being, Luminosity trying to get on this point. Ambo getting solo, but Teske manages to find Tinspire to start things out here. Evil Tech just kind of on this off angle on the side right now. They don't have a healer with them. Their survivability is low. Lunamare has decided, you know what, that water looks very fascinating. Why don't I take a little bit of a swim? Evil Tech with a pick of their own, but eventually picked off, and right now it's just eventually going to be the cap. 19% for Luminosity. Lunamare, I thought that was a tactical reset. Maybe it was, but they're still on the Symmetra, so hey.
Yeah, I'm really not sure about this pick at this point. I think...
Yay,
okay,
let's
Luna
go!
has
Let's
finally
go!
heard us. She's seen the radio signals from the sky, from Mars, and is finally over to this Mei. But is it too little too late? Atlas Arcadia already has 2 points on Flashpoint and is ticking up 40% here.
Ooh, and that's good survivability as well. Tinspire and Starlight have to use a lot of their stuff to be able to stay alive. And we're going to see this come up Flux. It's going to be 3 different people in the Mortality Field, going to keep them alive temporarily. Alulia's biggest focus is going to be trying to survive. That wall is going to help them do so temporarily, but it's so much damage, and this is coming down to the final fight now. It is do or die right here now. Lunamare going to be the first to fall. Alulia slowly after the fact, and we're just going to see the stall onto that point. It's 80% and counting, and unfortunately, I think Goliath is going to come out of this battle unscathed, 90% and counting. Nobody anywhere close to this point. David has fought hard, fought well, but at the end of the day, Goliath takes over, winning the series 3-0 and securing their spot in the championship bracket.
Atlas Arcadia showing a dominant performance here tonight over Luminosity. Luminosity certainly started off strong, tried a lot of their different variations, trying to play their own game, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. And I think that's something, this is the end of their season, but I imagine that's a question as they go back to the drawing board is, should they have just played the meta? Should they have just played the Mei earlier? Would that have worked better? However, either way, I think Atlas Arcadia was just, a little bit better, played better as a team, was able to continuously get those first picks. And so either way, they probably were going to come up on top. And with this win, they are returning back to the championship bracket where they think they belong, and they will be fighting once again for the championship.
Yes, but this time, since they managed to go through the lower bracket, they're going to be one of the teams that are going to be selected later tonight to find out what our quarter-final matchups are going to be. So some of that power out of their favor a little, but clearly the momentum has come back in their favor with this 3-0 win, and it ends up being kind of a dominant one, as you kind of suggested. They started out really strong on Samoa. Luminosity had that dog in them that first round, but after that, they tried a lot of different things, which I don't dislike. I fully encourage a team to try different things. If you believe it is your strength, you go for it, you make it your own. Unfortunately, when you go up against a team like this that knew how to fight against it and knew how to survive, in that scenario, I feel like you just have to go back to that drawing board a little sooner to go back to what is most comfortable, which we really thought was the Bastion Mei for the longest time. I wish they would have stuck with it, but coming from that opinion as a player being in that situation, you're going to look at it initially as, man, I wish we would have done more. I wish we would have done that. But right now, looking further into the future, when you look back on this, you're going to think, man, look how far we managed to get being the 23rd seed. As we kind of talked about earlier, they were in this situation where, they shouldn't have probably been in this match in the first place, but they fought and they fought. They managed to knock out two different teams to make it to this point in the first place. So despite not making it and coming this close, you have to give Luminosity the credit that they came this close to pulling off that underdog story.
Yeah, incredible playoff run by Luminosity. I don't think anyone expected them to get to this point. And with two of those playoff wins under their belt, although they do go home, they should be incredibly proud of how they played. I know a lot of those members of this team are close friends and have been playing together for a long time. And so that team synergy really came out as they have been doing so well in the playoffs. They should be incredibly proud of their performance. They certainly did not go out without a whimper. So Luminosity has certainly left their mark in all of our minds and hearts. So amazing job to both teams. But only one can move on, and it's going to be Atlas Arcadia tonight. And next week, we return with the championship bracket for this season of Tranquility, which I'm very excited for. I know the last few weeks, we've seen a lot of the playoffs, a lot of the losers bracket. But next week, we're going to see probably some very close, high-level play from the top teams in this league.
Yeah, we've already had most of our tiers so far already decide what their brackets are going to be. Like I said, a little bit here later tonight in a little call between the teams there to decide who their opponents are. But the week is not quite over yet. We still have the Discord tier tomorrow that are going to have their own feature matchup. Who, they're also going to be figuring out what teams are going to be moving on, who's going to have the higher seats, who's going to pick who. So obviously we'll have official brackets out for that when that eventually gets decided. We already have some out for the other tiers, but at the end of the day, not disregarding this match in any favor, but this is a very exciting, time of the season. We are down to what is now going to be the best 8 teams in every tier right now. And after watching this match today, seeing the dominant performance from Atlas Arcadia, that's just the number 7 seed right now. We have 6 teams that have done better than them in terms of standing. So I think we're gonna have one heck of a championship bracket between these 8 teams.
Yes, I am very excited. And so you'll catch us here back next week, starting on Monday through Thursday with all of the different tiers of Tranquility. But that is it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining. Huge congratulations to both teams. You should be incredibly proud of yourselves. And see you guys here very soon.
鉄よりも気になる